Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. Today, I want to talk about a problem that my generation, called Generation Alpha, as well as Generation Z, is facing. And for those of you that are part of, say, the millennials or Generation X or the baby boomers, might be shocked that this is coming from, this information, this video about the problem is coming from someone that is literally part of Generation Alpha. And you might be wondering, how am I, as in me, this aware of the problem? Well, here's a short way to answer your question. My autism. Yeah, I was diagnosed with autism a long time ago, back when I was very, very, very young. And now my autism has caused me to have a unique, different perspective, and in many ways, that different, unique perspective, in my opinion, has really helped me a lot. Well, it has came with its own cons. It's mostly, for me, I feel like come with some pros. And one of those pros is understanding what these videos on YouTube that talk about all the technology-based problems that are going on with Generation Alpha and Generation Z are talking about, understanding what they're talking about. So, alright, now I'm going to explain the problem. So, let's start with the first technology-based problem that this generation is facing. Actually, first, let's start with the time that Generation Alpha started. Generation Alpha began in the year 2010 and is still continuing. And since that is the most recent generation, that also means they have become the most technology dependent one, the generation that is the most dependent on technology. And wait until you hear the rest of what I'm about to say about these technology-based problems. It will shock a lot of you, especially those of you that are part of Generation Z, and most especially those of you that are part of Generation Alpha, most likely. And guess what? Generation Alpha and some of Generation Z have become so dependent on technology that they have literally grown literally an addiction. I'm not joking around. Generation Alpha and some of Generation Z have become so dependent and obsessed with technology that they have literally grown a addiction to it that they can't seem to stop, even with the help of their parents. And that, in my opinion, is very, very bad. That is very bad in my opinion. I, due to my unique autistic perspective, have managed to use technology responsibly most of the time, and it really sucks emotionally for me whenever I or someone else catches me using it inappropriately or watching brain rot. It really sucks emotionally for me due to my autistic perspective. So, yeah. Okay, here's the next problem. This addiction to technology has caused Generation Alpha and Generation Z to not really do that good in school. In fact, for Generation Alpha, that problem is at a very, very high level. Yep. Not joking. I am not joking around. I have watched already 4 videos on YouTube, 4 long videos on YouTube that have talked about all of these technology-based problems that Generation Alpha and Generation Z are facing. And what I've learned from those videos, those YouTube videos, is that students, especially those that are part of Generation Alpha, heard that a lot of them have been having extreme temper tantrums in school just because they're not allowed to use their phones or iPads. And the results of how extreme those temper tantrums are is very, very concerning, even for me. I have heard that they have gone as high as kids throwing chairs to teachers and across the classroom and other items, toppling tables over, punching walls. It's so concerning. Even for me, due to my autistic perspective. Yeah. Thanks to my autistic perspective, I've managed to watch, even though I do watch some stuff that is silly and fun, I try to make sure it is not brain rot. Well, most of the stuff I watch is usually educational stuff, very educational stuff. And to really show all of you that are watching this video how much my autism has helped me enjoy education, mainly intelligence, a lot. I'll show you a picture of my mind. So this picture, just bring it up closer. This picture represents what my mind is thinking about most to almost all of the time. And this object represents one of those things. It's a 4D version of a cube called a tesseract, where every side of it is its own cube instead of a square. But anyways, back to what the main thing of this video was that I was going to talk about. Yeah. So, due to these extreme temper tantrums in school that Generation Alpha and some of Generation Z have had a lot, that has meant that not only do they do extremely bad in school, like to the point where they are several grade levels behind, but they also have extremely bad behavior skills. Most of Generation Alpha and some of Generation Z. Like, yeah. And unfortunately, it doesn't just happen in school. It can happen anywhere. And that includes at home as well. Like, yeah, this stuff, it's very, very bad. And the worst part about this is that these problems, when they continue with any child all the way to the point where they turn like 5, at that point, like 90% of their brain is already developed, which means if they are experiencing these technology-based problems that I mentioned all the way to even just that point, it will most likely stick with them for the rest of their life. It will most likely stick with them for the rest of their life. And these technology-based problems that I've explained in this video have already stuck with most Generation Alpha kids all the way to that point in their life already. That is very, very concerning. Because that means not only will these technology-based problems, the impact that they've put, will stick with most of this generation, even if the problem is resolved now, all the way into, actually like throughout the rest of their lives. But that will also mean that this generation will grow up to be a generation that won't be able to make any more progress in humanity. even getting a job in McDonald's would probably be almost impossible for them because, well, all they care about is games and social media on their phones and iPads. Yeah. This is stuff that is like it's so bad that I even think about it kind of a lot sometimes. And okay. So I hope this video managed to shock a lot of you, especially most of you that are part of Generation Alpha, which you would have to be like at least 14 to be part of that generation. If any of you did get shocked, then that is exactly what I'm trying to do, as well as spread awareness about these extreme technology-based problems that Generation Alpha and some of Generation Z are facing. But anyways, I think, that will wrap up the video. See you in the next one.